Athletes prevail over hardships on and off the field. Next on Issues and Insights.
This is what is making news right now. As attacks continue.
The question on all our minds, will giant bugs take over the city?
This is as close as we dare go to this huge flume.
A massive kill of wildlife in the state of Arkansas.
This is just a nice little bonfire like we had earlier.
Who are trying to calculate the exact amount of oil coming out of there.
Welcome to Issues and Insights. I'm your host, Sammy Savona, and I am joined here by my two guests, Keith Klutz, a sophomore football player at Monmouth, and Ed Hunt, a junior football player at Monmouth. Thank you guys for being here.
My pleasure.
Our pleasure.
All right, so today we're going to be talking about struggles that student athletes undergo, advice on time management, and lastly, cultural differences in contrast to New Jersey to the state you lived in before college. So let's get started. So you guys both play football, is that correct?
Yes.
Very cool. Now, how did you guys get started playing football, and why'd you choose football as your sport to play?
You can take the first one.
I guess I started in third grade. I didn't really have an interest in football. I was more of a basketball player, but my dad had just kind of forced me to sign up, and I've been playing ever since. And ever since third grade, I fell in love with the sport. So I guess that's when I really started.
So with the push of your dad, that's kind of what got you started.
Yeah, definitely.
Very cool. What about you, Ed?
Yeah, I started in 8th grade. I played a couple random sports when I was growing up. I did martial arts a little bit too. But then 8th grade rolled around. It was before I was going into high school. So I was like, I kind of want to try football. My dad was a football player in high school. He was really good. He played at the college level for a couple years, but then stopped. So I figured, all right, 8th grade, might as well get 1 year under my belt before I try out for JV next year in high school.
Very cool. So do you think your dad kind of inspired you to play football as well?
Absolutely.
Very cool. Now, being a football player, especially a college football player, what are some of the obstacles you guys face being a student athlete, and how do you overcome them? Ed, let's start with you.
Probably one of the biggest obstacles is just not having as much time as other people. Normal students a lot of times can have, they just have classes. They might have a job as well, and then they're just kind of done. They have more time to just do whatever they want. It's a much more flexible schedule. With football, it's every morning, wake up, lift or practice, run, and then fit your classes in around that, and then try to get enough sleep so you can do it again the next morning while at the same time doing all your classes. So I have friends that might try to go out or something at night, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna stay here and do my homework. You guys have fun. I need to get some sleep. So that's probably the biggest challenge.
So your free time is definitely minimized.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What about you, Keith?
I guess pretty much the same thing, just time management overall. Just you don't have the free time you have has to be allocated to where you need to study for your classes, because football takes up so much of the time that if you fall back in studying, if you try to sleep all day, then you're gonna fall back in your classes. So you just need to be able to keep up with your studying so that you can keep up with your classes, because definitely having football takes away a lot of regular students' studying time that they could use to study. So.
Okay. Now, speaking about time management, because you both mentioned that, what advice on time management do you both have for incoming athletes or any incoming freshmen at all? Keith?
I guess just, make sure, me personally, I try to get as much sleep as possible, at least 8 hours a day, just so throughout the day, you're not tired, because if you're tired, then you're not gonna be able to get efficient studying. You're not gonna be paying attention in class. So just make sure, I guess, you get enough sleep every night. So throughout the day, you're not falling asleep in class. You're not trying to study, and you're not really paying attention. And also just, I guess, limit the distractions that you have. If you have a TV, don't study with the TV on, just unplug your TV. Don't have your cell phone with you when you're studying. Don't just limit the amount of distractions, because distractions are also just going to take you off track of what you really need to do.
Mm-hmm. So a good night's sleep definitely helps out.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Ed, what about you?
A lot of what Keith was saying, but also in addition to that, personally, one of my favorite things to advise younger people is just don't freak out about stuff, because getting overwhelmed is human. We all have tons of classes, and being an athlete of any kind, on top of the classes and the tests you have, like I have 4 tests this week, for instance. So on top of that, I need to make sure I'm waking up every morning to work out. I want to be up all night studying to make sure I'm ready for tests, but if I do that, I won't have enough sleep for the lift. So the most important thing you can do is just not freak out about stuff. Just don't overstress it, don't overthink it, just take whatever you can get, accept whatever you can get, and then do your best you can.
All right, so stay cool, calm, and collective?
Absolutely.
All right, awesome. Now, for you both, was it hard for you to adjust when you were freshmen, especially being an athlete? Both of you.
Not really, because when I was a freshman and I came in, it's guaranteed you have friends or whatever, so I don't feel alone by any means. Football was good in the way that some people, when they become a freshman in college, they get a little wrapped up too much in going out and they get distracted from what's important. You go to college to be a student, to get a degree, and then so you can get a good job, basically. So football definitely helps you keep on track with that, and the fact that you have such a great support group in friends, coaches, and other advisors definitely helps a lot. At least it did for me.
I mean, it wasn't too hard of a transition. Luckily here, the schooling is a lot closer than other bigger universities to high school. The class size is a lot smaller, so you don't have 200, 300 kids in your class. So I can get one-on-one with professors. It's a lot more you just get a lot more one-on-one time with your professors. And I mean, football keeps you in line. Your freshman year, I don't know how the other sports work, but I know for football, you have a meeting with your coach every week about your grades, how you're doing, what did you get on your last quiz, what did you get on your last test, what was your midterm grade. If your midterm grade is really low, then they have you meet with an academic advisor in the library. So there's definitely a lot of support that keeps you on track for grades. So you're not gonna, if you start slipping, they can give you a little boost to help you. And also, they have mandatory tutoring, which seems a little much, but it's 5 hours a week for the football players. And that 5 hours a week, that helps me do so much homework. I ended up probably spending closer to 10 hours a week in the library studying, doing homework and stuff like that. So, and the library is a very quiet setting, so you can get everything done without any distractions. So they give the support group that you have here gives you a boost, so you're not really, so if you start slipping. So it wasn't too hard of a transition for me.
All right. So would you guys say that that what the football program gave you kind of helped you manage time wisely?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
All right, awesome. All right, we're going to take a short commercial break, but when we come back, we will continue our discussion for more on Issues and Insights.
Every child is curious. George, look what I found. Turn their curiosity into a lifelong love of learning.
That's a periscope.
It's one of the most important gifts you can share. Create a curious reader.
Oh, you want to build a castle like that one? This is super bedtime reading.
Share a book together today. Visit read.gov.
Packers,
Vikings, Red State, Blue State.
We come from different places.
Uptown.
But when we live united, we create real lasting change in the education, income, and health of our country. Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Sign up at liveunited.org.
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many? Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to Issues and Insights. I'm your host, Sammy Savona, and I am joined here by my two guests, Keith Klutz, a sophomore football player at Monmouth, and Ed Hunt, a junior football player at Monmouth. Now, we were just having a great discussion. Now, let's continue where we left off. We talked about time management and struggles that athletes overcome. Now, for you both, what are the differences between New Jersey in contrast to the state, which is Maryland, that you lived in? Like, what are different? What's the differences?
Trying to think. People, I guess, would probably be the biggest difference.
Really?
Yeah, at least from around where I was, or I can really only compare it to Monmouth because I haven't been too far around New Jersey besides just Monmouth, and I've gone to New York a couple times. But like, for instance, my high school is much more diverse, I guess would be the best way to put it. Okay. Monmouth isn't quite as diverse, but I mean, so it's really the only main cultural difference there. But I remember, especially when I was a freshman, so I could be very smiley and polite to people. I remember people would always come up to me and be like, "You're not from New Jersey, are you?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not. How do you know?" They're like, "You smile too much." And I'm like, "Okay." So yeah, it's just, that's probably the biggest difference is, but I mean, I guess even in Maryland, you got a lot of grumpy people too. So I'm not saying New Jersey's grumpy.
Okay, so Keith?
I mean, same thing. It's just the people are different. I mean, I still don't know what pork roll is, but other than that, like, I mean, it's not too much different. I mean, the weather's different. Obviously, it's a lot warmer in Maryland, but I mean, I guess you kind of notice subtle differences. Like I feel, and I've also lived all of my life in the South, born in Texas. So, I mean, I think there's a little more hospitality, I guess. I don't know, but I haven't really been around the entire state of New Jersey. I've only been around this part, so could be different around. I don't know, but that's just what I've experienced.
And we have better crabs. Crab cakes, Maryland.
Speaking of crabs, now wait, New Jersey is known for their famous beaches, Atlantic City, and the close proximity to New York. What is Maryland known for?
Being better than New Jersey. It's like on our flag.
Okay.
I mean, we have Baltimore. We're close to DC, so I mean, nation's capital, and crab cakes and football. That's what Maryland's
Chicken,
about. Yeah.
And we also have some pretty good beaches ourselves.
Yeah. We got Ocean City, Maryland.
Right.
So, and I mean, and we're also close to North Carolina and South Carolina, which have also amazing beaches. So, I mean, we're in the middle of the country, so. Right down the middle. So, I mean, we can go 4 hours up north to New York, but we can also drive 4 hours south to South Carolina, Georgia, whatever. So it's pretty good.
Cool. Now, how far are you both from here to Monmouth? Like, where's your home, like, as compared to Monmouth? How far away is it?
I live in Annapolis or around Annapolis, depending on which parent I'm with, but I'm about 3 hours away, depending how fast I drive. Sometimes I can get like 2 hours 45.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm about three and a half, 4 hours away.
Okay. Now, since you guys are fairly far from the university, what made you both decide to come to Monmouth University?
Definitely being by the beach is a great thing about the school. We can walk to the beach from the campus, and I mean, I think the biggest aspect was receiving a full scholarship. Obviously, not having to pay for school is something. There's a huge weight lifted off any students' shoulders, and also just I think coming on my official visit for the football program, I fell in love with the school. The campus is beautiful. All the coaches were great to me, so I think just an overall, I just felt overall it was a right fit for me.
Very cool. And Ed, what about you?
Football was probably the biggest deciding factor. I'd never heard of Monmouth until I started getting recruited for football. I went to a camp here. They really liked me. They offered me a full ride, so that was definitely put them pretty high on my list. But then also, like, I came here a couple times. I like the area. I do like, Pier Village, how close it is to the beach. I like the professors. The campus is nice. I remember the biology program here is pretty good. I used to be a bio major. Might still be a bio major if I double major, but that's a different story. So like the bio department's good. The psychology department's pretty good. So I felt like it could do what I needed to do academically, on top of the fact that football gave me a full ride.
Very nice. Now, how has football shaped your life in college?
In college specifically, I mean, you're a football player. It's kind of hard to say just in college because I've been a football player for so long, so it's really how it's more shaped my life in general now.
Yeah, in your life in general.
I mean, I guess the best way to say it is I am a football player. I've always kind of been like, I guess, a little outgoing, but since I've become a football player and you can find a niche that you can fit into, I've become much more outgoing. Confidence has definitely skyrocketed because of it. I've always been smart, so that hasn't really stopped. But I guess it's kind of made me who I am, but it's kind of hard to explain.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to throw a quote. Wait, Keith, you didn't answer.
I mean, I guess it's the same thing. I've definitely become a lot more outgoing. I kind of define myself as being a football player. I've never really been anything else. So, I mean, that's just, football is my life. I watch it, I play it, I love just being around the sport, so.
Very cool. Now, what have you both learned from being a Division I athlete?
I guess just that the Division I level it's very tough. You have a lot of preparation, you have a lot of lifting, you have a lot of running, but I mean, it's all worth it in the end. And as a Division I athlete, you have aspirations to go to the next level, so that's definitely a good thing.
Okay. Ed, unfortunately, we are out of time, so
no problem.
Cannot answer that question. I'm sorry. But thank you both for joining me today. I'm Sammy Savona, and this was an episode of Issues and Insights. See you next time.
Now. as attacks continue.
The question on all our minds, will giant bugs take over the city?
This is as close as we dare go to this huge blue.
A massive kill of wildlife in the state of Arkansas.
This is just a nice little bonfire like we had earlier.
Who are trying to calculate the exact amount of oil coming out of there.